Welcome to the podcast, Emma. We are sitting here in downtown Chicago, and I have to say, looking out the window, the wind off Lake Michigan looks absolutely brutal today.
It is. I took the L train this morning, and the cold cuts right through your coat. But that is April in Chicago for you.
Exactly. And that unpredictable weather actually brings us perfectly to our topic today. We are talking about contrast words, although, despite, and however.
Yes, 3 words that mean essentially the same thing, but carry very different weights and grammar rules.
Before we get into the grammar, I want to talk about the reality of why people struggle with this. When non-native speakers work in corporate environments here in the US, there is a silent pressure.
There is a massive pressure. It is not just about passing an English test. It is about sitting in a boardroom, wanting to disagree with a colleague, and freezing because you are terrified of using the wrong word.
That is the real pain. I have spoken to brilliant software engineers who stay awake at night worrying about an email they sent, wondering if putting despite in the wrong place made them sound uneducated.
It is imposter syndrome mixed with linguistic anxiety. People judge you based on your email etiquette. If you write, "Despite I was tired," native speakers notice. They might not say anything, but it registers.
So let us dismantle that fear today. Let us start with although. How should we mentally categorize this word?
Think of although as the most flexible everyday connector. It needs a full sentence after it, a subject and a verb. Although it was raining, we walked to the office.
It is soft. It does not feel overly formal, but it creates a nice flow. You can also put it in the middle, right? We walked to the office although it was raining.
Exactly. It is a very forgiving word. But here is something fascinating from psycholinguistics. The human brain actually processes contrast words slower than agreement words.
Wait, really? Our brains slow down?
Yes, when you hear and or because, your brain predicts the next word easily. When you hear although or however, your brain has to pause for a fraction of a second to reverse its expectation.
That makes so much sense. You are signaling to the listener, get ready, I am about to twist the story.
Precisely. Now, let us move to the word that causes the most anxiety. Despite.
The danger word. I hear the mistake despite I am all the time.
It is the most common error. The rule is strict. Despite can never be followed by a full sentence. It must be followed by a noun, a pronoun, or an ing verb. Despite the rain, not despite it was raining.
Why is it built that way? It feels unnatural to a lot of non-native speakers to just drop a noun right there.
It goes back to the origin of the word. Despite comes from the Latin despicere, which means to look down on something. So you are essentially saying, looking down on the rain, we went out anyway. You are treating the obstacle as an object.
Wow, that actually completely changes how I view the word. You are turning the problem into an object you step over.
Yes, despite my fear, I spoke in the meeting. Your fear is the object. You are stepping over it. You do not say, despite I was afraid. You say, despite being afraid.
That is powerful for the corporate environment. You are acknowledging the difficulty without dwelling on it.
Exactly. And then we have however. This is the word that wears a suit and tie.
The dress shoes of English words.
Yes. However is a bridge between 2 complete separate sentences. The budget is extremely tight. However, we will find a way to fund this project.
Punctuation matters a lot here, does it not? I see people treat however like a simple comma.
It does. You need a period or a semicolon before it and a comma after it. Writing, "It was raining, however, we went out," is a grammatical error called a comma splice. It makes your email look rushed or unpolished.
And in a city like Chicago, where business moves fast but expectations are high, a poorly punctuated email to a VP can genuinely cause a moment of anxiety.
It does, but understanding these 3 words, although for flow, despite for stepping over a noun, and however for a formal bridge, gives you control. You stop fearing the language and start using it as a tool.
I love the idea of using language as a tool rather than a test. Thank you for making this so clear today, Emma.
My pleasure, Alex. Remember, despite the complexity, you can master